Okay. Ready?
I think.
Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to the Matt Kim podcast. We have a special guest with us today. It is Sarah Gabel, Seifert.
Hi. So great to be here.
It's amazing to have you. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of it. For people watching and are not familiar, we were just at the diaper drive yesterday, which was amazing.
Thank you.
And we'll get into that. You were also at the March for Life today, which we'll get into that. You also had your daughter is a year and 7 months old, 6 months old.
You got it.
Who I just met today. Beautiful, so cute.
Thank you.
And our kids are about the same age, so I feel like we'll talk about that. So a lot of things to talk about today. Thank you for coming. Amazing.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
And Sarah is the president and founder of Every Life, which is a pro-life diaper company, and also one of the original founders of Public Square. Little quick background, just so everyone knows what we're dealing with today. And I think it's interesting because the episode prior to this was Andrew Tate, which is on one side of the sphere. And then we have Sarah Gabel, who is on kind of not the opposite side, but
a little different.
Very different, and very different topics.
Very different topics. Yes.
So if anything, I'm showing range.
That's right. Look at you go. I love that.
So I guess start at the top. Who are you? And maybe a quick introduction, because I probably butchered it.
No, that was fabulous. And you even said my name right. Not everybody can do that. Sarah Gabel. I go by both names. I'm originally from the South, Birmingham, Alabama. And I've lived in San Diego, California the last 7 years, just moved to West Palm Beach, Florida, because we moved our business, Public Square and Every Life, our headquarters. We're now in the free state of Florida, which is really nice. And my husband and I, started Public Square a couple years back, and it is America's marketplace. It's where consumers can confidently go and shop in alignment with their pro-life, pro-family, pro-freedom values. And what I love about Public Square is that we get to showcase small businesses. In my opinion, I think small businesses are the very thing that make our country so special, and we need to be supporting them. They're the backbone of our country, and that's what we get to showcase at Public Square. So when you shop there on the app or on the website, you can know that you're supporting a small business that needs our support, that needs our help. Again, and it's values aligned. And then out of Public Square, we actually launched Every Life, which is the first and only pro-life diaper company, which sounds really crazy to say because you would think that every major diaper company would support babies because they're making products for babies, but yet they actually support the ending of their life. They vocally and financially, some both, some choose one or the other, but they support abortion. And a lot of them are actually paying for their employees to go obtain abortions. Many of them are vocally out there saying, I remember a really big one that I looked into when I found out I was pregnant with my first baby was Coterie. And they were lamenting over the fact that Roe v. Wade was being overturned and felt lost without abortion and healthcare services. And as a brand new mom, that was appalling and really, really sad to see. And for a family that's obviously very passionate about shopping in alignment with their pro-life values, we said we have to create the solution. So we did. And Every Life started in July. We're the fastest growing diaper company America has ever seen.
Nice.
And it's been an incredible journey. And we know we're just getting started.
So we took a couple samples and a few bags of the diapers home yesterday, and actually put it on my daughter last night.
What do you think?
My wife loved it. She said it's really soft and it's amazing, and she slept in it last night, and I was like, man, first time we're trying a new diaper in a long time.
Wow.
So you get a little nervous, right? When you try
it.
a new diaper. And I'm like, man, what if, and I put it on, and sometimes, because we typically use the pull-ups.
Yep.
And then it's been a while since we used one with straps, so we strapped it in, and I'm like, there's a very high chance I did this incorrectly because I don't really do a lot.
And you put her diaper on last night before bed?
And
all
morning,
good?
no problem, all good.
Wow, no leaks, no worries, no mess.
Nothing.
Let's go.
Yeah, so it was great, and she really liked the packaging. And if you're a guy, maybe this won't make sense. She said it kind of reminds her of pads,
Very beautiful and elegant.
And not as huge of a packaging. It was really compact, and she really liked that because some of the other diapers we have, they take up so much room in the house.
Yep.
So we really like that because we try our best to be as neat as possible, considering we have a 1.5-year-old girl running around and creating all kinds of mess. So
That's what they're best at.
constantly chasing around, you know?
Yes. But that's what we like to say, thin but mighty.
Yes.
You know, they are a thinner diaper, but they hold better than any diaper I've ever put on my baby. And it's because we took a lot of time and intentionality crafting this diaper to make sure that it was supremely soft, that it allowed that 12-hour leak protection. And I also really like that it's white. It's just very clean. Some of the other diaper brands that have all the patterns and stuff on it, it's just distracting. And I just love the simplicity, right? It's the little things. Because you live a chaotic world with a child, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. But if you can not have to worry about your diaper and it just looks simple and it looks nice on the shelf, like those little things matter to moms.
And I thought it was interesting that the logo was on the front.
That's right.
Whereas a lot of logos are on the back.
Right.
And I thought that was really cute. It took me a second to figure out, because I put it on backwards originally. Because most companies, the logo's on the back.
Right.
So I put it on backwards, and I'm putting the strap on the other way. And I'm like, this can't be right.
Something is off.
Yeah, there's no way that I'm supposed to like lift her up and put it on. And I thought about it. I was like, that doesn't make any sense at all. So I had to grab her and take it off and put it back on. So I actually took it off and put it back on her. And even then, because I was really worried. Maybe the Velcro wouldn't last, because once you take it off one time,
starting to sweat a little bit.
I'm getting nervous because if she goes to the bathroom in the middle of the night, it's a mess.
It is.
It's horrible.
Yep.
And it just worked out perfectly.
I'm so glad. And I love to hear that your wife really liked it too.
Yeah,
that's important.
She really liked it, and she's one of those that's. It took us a long time to have our first child. We were married, I'm gonna say 11 or 12 years.
Okay.
So it took us that long, maybe 10 years to have our first kid. And for us, it was like a really long journey. After the first 5 years, we weren't really thinking about it. We were kind of enjoying our life. After the next 5 years, and year 1 goes by, year 2 goes by, year 3 goes by, she starts looking around like, all our friends have kids, all our friends have babies. And she starts getting to, well, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I have a kid? And it was a really hard time for us, you know? And finally, it just happened, and it just changed our lives forever.
Wow.
Because we appreciate it so much more, because we took so long to have it, and something that we wanted so bad, and we were so worried we would never have one. And because of that, I mean, that's all she thinks about. And then she always does this to me. It took us 10 years to have a kid, and she wants the best, or I want to give her the best, or I want to give her this. How are you going to say no? And it's I hate that argument. Because I'm like, she doesn't need this. She doesn't need this. She doesn't need this. She doesn't need this. She doesn't need a 5th doll. She doesn't need a 10th toy kitchen.
She just needs y'all.
But she's like, but how are you going to say no? This is the only one we have. And I'm like, fine.
Is the hope to have more, or what are you guys thinking?
Hopefully,
okay.
God willing, it will
amen.
happen. If we could have 10 kids, we'd have 10 kids.
Aww.
I really believe it. And if God says this is the only one you'll have, then I think we'll do our best to even adopt.
I love what you're saying right now, because one of the things that we say at Every Life is that we champion parenthood. And I think we live in a time right now where there's a lack of celebration for parents and for children at the moment of conception, and celebrating and defending that life. And to hear your story and the way that you pressed in and you didn't lose hope, and I'm sure there were times where it was very challenging and you felt hopeless. But the fact that now you have this baby and you see the gift of life in a whole different perspective because of the waiting. And we like to say at Every Life, we're not just changing diapers, we're changing lives. And we really believe that, because when you become a parent, it is the most significant role that you could ever step into. It's no small thing. So every time you change that diaper, and you see the word Every Life, and we have scripture all over our packaging, but it's a reminder that that life is so precious and it's so beautiful. And I know when I change my baby's diaper, I am reminded, because of our brand, because of what we stand for, that I should never take for granted that God has given me the ability to be a mom. And the fact that women have the ability to carry, I'm sure it was amazing for you to watch your wife go through pregnancy, and even for you to feel the kicks inside of the womb and to watch her birth your baby girl. I mean, your whole world changes in the best way. It's no small thing. And so I'm just really grateful to be here today, too, to just get the message out more that we need to celebrate this. It is so remarkable. Life is truly miraculous, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. And so many times we do. And so anyways, I just love your story. And it totally aligns with what we stand for at Every Life. And we hope more moms and dads out there will begin to support each other in their effort of being a parent, because it's not easy, but it's so rewarding.
Yeah, being a parent is not easy, especially if you want to be an attentive parent.
That's right.
Just having a baby, for some it's difficult, for some extremely easy. But to be an attentive parent, to give them your attention, to be active part of their community and life on a regular basis, it's work. It's not easy. But I don't feel like it's sacrifice. I love it. It's really what I look for. I've stopped hanging out. I don't hang out with my friends because I'd rather just be home with my daughter. I love it so much.
That's how I am.
And the feeling you get when you walk in the door and they come running to you.
Dada.
It's the best.
Is she talking yet? Is she trying to?
She says, Mom, Dad.
Okay.
She wants to eat, like very basic things.
Yep.
We speak to her. We speak 50% in Korean and 50% in English.
Oh, wow.
So we're actively teaching her both languages at the same time. So I think maybe that's why she's not as
She's got a lot
wordy.
to soak in.
It's a lot to go on. But she understands. So if I ask her to do something or grab this or pick that up or bring this or what's your favorite animal, whatever, she can point and she understands what the words are. Mm-hmm. But as far as language, I think that's why. Because we're actively trying to teach her two languages at the same time.
Right. That's beautiful.
It's not easy.
She's going to be a smart girl.
I hope so.
She's going to be so smart. I hope I get to meet her one day.
She's the cutest thing ever. And I mean, it just changed. I mean, that's really the reason I started this podcast. Because I remember she was home and she was maybe 2 or 3 months old. And I was home a lot trying to help out best I can. Because we decided, originally she was like, we're going to get someone to help. We're going to hire them, etc. And my wife interviewed 20 people. I don't like her because I don't like the way she answered that question. I don't like her because she's hesitated before she answered this. I don't like her because that answer was weird. And after like 20 interviews, we're like, this is just not going to happen. We just got to go this road alone. So we did that first 6 months by ourselves with nobody. And that's not easy. Having family around for that first 6 months is maybe the most important.
It is.
It's so difficult for women.
Wow. Yeah. You need support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having family changes everything. It really does. I remember when we had our first, and we're in the similar track as far as timing. And I was so thankful. I was in Southern California, but my family was in Alabama. And my parents, gosh, they're such a blessing. They came out and stayed with me for the first full month of her life, just to help cook and clean and do the laundry and do the things that you kind of put on the back burner because you have this new life that you want to steward and you want to get to know and you want to spend time with. And so the fact that, gosh, I'm really thankful that I was able to have that bonding time. But man, I'm sure you both are going to look back on that time and say that that was probably the most impactful 6 months of y'all just learning what it looked like to be a family of 3. And you had to figure it out together. So there's beauty, there's beauty in both scenarios. But I do think, man, if you can have your family around you, I think we were designed to be in community. We really were designed to be close to our intimate family. And I think we live in a very siloed world now. It's very isolated. And I think that's why moms have a harder time today. I do think that they feel alone, and postpartum depression is higher than it's ever been, and postpartum anxiety, and moms having a hard time feeling like they're bonding with their baby. Well, a lot of that is maybe because they just don't have the support around them that they need. So I am a really big fan of, if you can have your family, have friends, have people that you can just talk with and process with. Because again, it's a big deal to bring a life into the world, and you need your loved ones around you in that journey. So I'm hopeful for where we're going as a society. But I do think we have a lot of work to do to really help moms, especially ones that, again, maybe don't have that support or are alone or single and trying to figure it out. It's not an easy road.
Because right now, the birth rate in the world is down significantly.
It is.
It's down, I think it's weird because I'm going to say this. It's down 0.5 children in the United States. It's weird when you cut kids in half.
Right. But it is. It's the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah, I think the stat was 1.7, and we need to be at 2.1
at least minimum.
Because if you have a woman, you have a man, and you have a baby, then you need at least over 2 per couple in order for society to sustain and go forward.
Yep,
we're at 1.7.
Yeah, we should be very concerned.
And some countries, it's as low as 1.2, 1.3. And I think it was Africa. We looked up the stat, right? Well, some countries, I think some African countries were like at 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the more non-modern, kind of family-oriented countries that are still having a lot of children. And then the countries that have adopted technology in a huge way, they're just not.
Yep.
And it's really hard to argue with. That's just statistics.
Well, 44% of non-parents, 18 to 49, are now saying that it's very likely that they're not going to have a child. That's almost half of the population is saying that they don't want children. And 23% are actually saying that because of climate change concerns, they are afraid to bring a child into the world because they're a threat to society. That's really concerning as well. So I do think this overpopulation control ideology and a lot of this climate change activists and even just the pro-choicers are very much getting in the hearts and minds of young people, and they're buying these lies that children are a burden, they're a threat, that they're an inconvenience, that they're going to steal your joy, that you're not going to be able to go after your dreams, you're going to have better opportunities if you don't have children. All of that is a complete lie. And it's sad to me to see how many people who've bought that and are missing out on why we are here. We are here to serve God, and we are here to procreate. One of the first commandments in the Bible was to be fruitful and to multiply. And so that's why you get married. You get married and you have kids, and you get to enjoy the blessing and the gift that God gives us, which is children. And that is how we secure a strong nation. If we do not have strong families, we do not have a strong nation. And so that's why we're doing a Make More Babies campaign right now. And I'm so thankful that you were there yesterday. We started in Times Square last month, and we took Elon Musk's tweet, right, that said having children is saving the world.
Can we find a picture of that, Will? Do you have a link where we can find that? And let's see if we can put up that picture of it in Times Square. I mean, it's cool in Atlanta, but it's so much more impactful when you see it in Times Square.
Yeah.
You know,
in a city that needs it very badly. Yeah.
Yeah. New York is falling apart.
Wow.
It's just not the same it used to be. It's so sad to see, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we did man on the street interviews just to kind of get some, hey, what do you think of the sign? Wanted to hear some feedback from people on the ground. Man, it was kind of heartbreaking.
Really?
I mean, some people were, of course, like, this is amazing, 100%, children are saving the world. We need children. There it is right there. It was huge. It was awesome. But you know what's so cool is Elon Musk, one of the most influential people in the entire world. Yeah. He caught wind of this and he retweeted it and actually said, I endorse this message.
That's amazing.
So Elon Musk came behind us and took this whole campaign viral. And we did this really beautiful launch video too. It's almost at 4 million views now, which is really exciting. But it really displayed what our life would look like without children. Very dark, empty playgrounds, empty school buses, empty play sets, and then, showcasing, what life would look like with children, which is bright and joyful and beautiful.
Can we get that video? Let's just play it real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just play it because it'll play in we can watch it and we can go up. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I want to see what this video is.
Yeah. We launched it the same day we did this in Times Square to really show what we mean by Make More Babies, right? Because you can take that a couple of different ways. And we wanted to make sure we got to show our heart behind it.
I mean, you could read that a different way.
Yeah, you can.
But that's why it makes a good slogan.
Exactly, because it gets you thinking. Yeah. And what we're saying is we need more children, not less, because of your point. Population, the population's down. We need more children. Birth rates are down. Fertility rates are down. And we want to see more children. They're a gift and a blessing. There it is.
Let's see if we can watch it real quick.
Should we have policies that penalize people for having extra kids in the developed world?
This is all about increasing their power, imposing their vision, and their vision is population control.
I also had my first abortion at the Seattle Planned Parenthood.
Population control. There's too many people on the planet.
Every child on the face of the earth is unique and distinct and precious.
Our potential is our children. Children are our future.
Before the cities and governments, there were families, and the family is the most important institution in the world.
I like that.
Do you
That's
like
really
it?
good.
What
yeah,
do you think?
That's really good. I like it. I mean, the one thing I noticed was the Bill Clinton quote. And the funny thing about that is Bill Clinton famously said, abortion should be rare and exception, or something like this.
Rare and an exception. Yes.
Yeah, rare and exception, or rare and...
Oh, yeah.
It was along those lines.
Yes. Basically saying we really shouldn't have a lot of abortions.
Correct.
It should be a very small group of people in very rare circumstances. That's when an abortion should be accessible.
And it's weird because somehow we've gotten into this place in the world where I've met girls who are on like their 5th, 6th, 7th. And it's
they're
almost
celebrating it.
It's become a form of birth control. And I think that's really what... And then you have the marches with people chanting in the street like they're so proud of it. I don't want this to get into an abortion debate because it's so polarizing. I understand that. And I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. But I think because abortion is so polarized in this country, I don't think the federal government should step in and tell you how to live your life. I think the population needs to change their mindset first. And then once that happens, then maybe the federal government can rule in favor of one or the other, which is what the reversal of Roe v. Wade was, right? Let the states decide how their communities want to handle. I think that was very fair. You know, again, I don't agree with abortion. I don't think it should be. I don't think it should happen. I believe that it's a killing of babies. That's what I think. However, I understand some people do it. And even people that are conservatives and pro-life can't decide what that even means. When does baby start? At conception, at 2 weeks, at 3 weeks, at 5 weeks, at 7 weeks, at 8 weeks, at 10 weeks, at 17 weeks. This in itself is its own problem, right?
It's a big conversation.
It is. And until someone else smarter than me figures this out, I'm willing to stay in the sidelines. But I don't agree with it.
Well, and I actually had the opportunity of working at a pregnancy resource center for a few years. And are you familiar with pregnancy resource centers and what they do? They're basically the opposite of a Planned Parenthood. So instead of going to a Planned Parenthood or an abortion facility and obtaining an abortion, you can go to a pregnancy resource center for free and actually get life-affirming care. So you're going to have people that actually sit down with you, hear your story, hear your situation, love on you, care for you, and go over your options, show you your baby on the ultrasound, because Planned Parenthood doesn't always show you the ultrasound. They don't want you to see your baby. And if they do an ultrasound, they turn you away from the screen so you don't have the opportunity to bond with your baby. And I've heard that story over and over and over again, firsthand from women that I've met with, and how dark and sad and demeaning the experience was at a Planned Parenthood. But you come into a pregnancy center, and I'm telling you, every single person there loves you and wants the best for you. So you can go into a pregnancy center and, again, just get actual care and also get resources. So a lot of times the left likes to say that, you know, we don't care about the mom and the baby after the baby's born, but there's all these incredible organizations, specifically pregnancy centers, that are providing free diapers. We're helping with that. We give free diapers to pregnancy resource centers through Every Life, and we want to help set them up for success so they don't feel alone. But, you know, I got to sit with a lot of girls, and a lot of them considering abortion and hearing why and what's the struggle, what's the big hiccup, and the amount of people who did not understand that at conception, there's so much that happens. Eye color, hair color, DNA. They have a unique set of chromosomes that are completely different than yours. It's fascinating what happens the moment the sperm and the egg meet and how soon the heart begins. So going through fetal development and helping them understand that there is a separate life that is completely different than yours, that is growing inside of your stomach, and doing it in a way that is not yelling. We're not yelling. We're just teaching. We're just sharing. It's medical facts. Actually, the science community has been around life at conception for a very long time. It's just recently that a lot of medical professionals decided to say, we're going to redefine life and we're going to devalue it.
There's a lot of redefinition of words these days, though, isn't there?
There is. And this is one of them. And so it is funny to me because we actually have science on our side. We do. But they've been very crafty in changing that. But I will say it's amazing how many lives I've been able to see saved just by sitting there and loving on these women, letting them know that they are not alone and letting them see their baby on that ultra. There's something changes when you see your child on the screen. It's like you can't not say, wow, there is something, there is a baby. There is a baby inside of my womb. So I'm really grateful that I've had that experience because it gives me perspective to really talk to these girls, the ones that you're referring to. I've talked to many that have had 5, 6, 7 abortions, but I've never heard somebody say that I regret having my baby. But I have heard over and over and over and over again, I regret my abortion, dealing with depression, suicidal thoughts, many of them dealing with alcoholism, broken relationships post each of their abortions, and not living the life that they want to live. And a lot of that's tied to those abortion decisions. So I am hopeful for where we're going because there are pregnancy centers out there that are providing truth and it's needed. And also to be a part of a company really that's on the forefront of standing for life vocally, but then helping these women that are choosing to embrace life and being on the ground yesterday in Atlanta and putting that message up there that having children saving the world, that we want to see more children, not less, that they're a gift, that they are a blessing. And you saw some of the moms coming out. I mean, many of them traveled far and wide just to get diapers, and they were about to have babies, some of them in 5 days. But they didn't have anything. They didn't have any diapers for them. So this was a godsend to them to know that at least for a few weeks, a month, they could have some diapers for their baby. So that's the kind of work that we get to do, and that matters. That makes a difference. Diapers, it may sound small, but it could be life or death for a mom in the middle of a crisis pregnancy trying to decide if she's going to keep that baby or not. Just to know one less thing is covered, that's a big deal. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful we get to do that.
Do you think, because you're a purpose, mission-driven business, and there was a time, maybe a few years ago, where that was maybe almost a left thing, where they were trying to do, okay, if you buy my shoes, then I'm going to donate shoes to an overseas country.
The Toms model.
Yeah, Toms or Crocs or whatever. Same thing with socks. A lot of socks companies did something similar. You don't see it as much anymore. The kind of mission-driven business model has almost kind of faded away. Margins are tighter, economy is tough. People aren't willing to just give away stuff. But then at that time, you guys decided we're going to do a mission-driven business. And rarely do you see a conservative, mission-driven business. It's usually something that is environmental or something like this. Do you think that type of business can survive? I mean, how do you feel about that? Because again, it's not something you see often.
Well, I would say one of the reasons we started Public Square is because we did some research and analysis around specifically millennials, younger people today, that 83% really do care about shopping in alignment with their values. That's a large group of people that are actually looking to support businesses that align with the things that they care about. And if they're going to spend money, they want to make sure that there's some sort of mission, there's some sort of purpose behind where their money is going. And so early on when we started to see, and I know personally I feel that way, I love supporting a business that aligns with my values. And so I actually think that there's a lot of room for a business like ours to not just grow, but really take off. And I am seeing that the parallel economy is rising up and that people are starting to see that you can actually vote with your dollar every single day. A lot of people are saying, what can I do right now? There's a lot of chaos.
All the time.
And I'm sure you get people like, what can I do? What can I do? Well, one thing that everybody can do is shift their dollars because there is power in what you spend. Because every time that let's use Starbucks, for example, they support abortion. And every time that I go get which I don't, but if I were to go get a Starbucks coffee, I'm empowering the very thing that they do, which is supporting abortion, which I do not believe in. So the more that we can start letting the weight of our dollar spend sink into our hearts and minds, I think we're actually going to be better off as a society, because we're at a time where we kind of have to choose. I wish that we didn't have to be in this time where we had to be so upfront with everything. Why are all these businesses like Bud Light? Why do we even have to go there? I'm sure you're familiar with the whole Bud Light thing. So like, why can't we just drink a beer, right? Let's just keep it simple. But we're not there anymore. It's not simple. And we do have to start making choices, and we have to realize that there's power in spend. So I do think people are waking up and realizing that is something everybody can do every single day. I feel so much better when I spend money in alignment with my pro-life values. I do. I did all my Christmas shopping on Public Square. It was the best feeling ever. It was like, my husband kind of makes fun of me, but I told him, I was like, I don't even feel like I'm spending money. I probably shouldn't say that because I am. But I just love supporting businesses.
My wife says that all the time.
Does she?
I don't feel like I'm spending money. No,
yeah,
dear,
you're
spending a lot of money.
It's money. But, it's going to a great cause. And that feels so good to me.
And wife, if you're listening, no.
So wife, go download Public Square. You're gonna love shopping on that app.
Hey, can you pull it up, Will? Can you just pull it up? I just want to check it out. I'm a little bit familiar with it. I know of the business model. I'm familiar with the website. To be honest, I haven't bought anything on there yet.
We just started one cart checkout. So this was new a couple months ago. So now you can actually, in any category, go on, and we have hundreds of thousands of businesses that actually have their product now linked on our app. That way you can check out. A lot of times you get a discount at checkout, which discounts are great too, and you can get it shipped right to your door, which is nice. It's growing. We have almost 80,000 businesses.
Oh, wow.
Here. Yeah, it's huge. And you know what's really great too is we have the online portion, and then we also have the local marketplace. So for example, if you're looking for a good date night with your wife, you can look around and see what business you want to support in your area. So we got the online, but we also have the local component.
Well, we may need to buy a meat pack.
Yeah.
That's what I think. We're always looking for...
The carnivore snacks are really good.
Really?
Yeah.
We're always looking for kind of local meat suppliers.
Good ranchers. Have you heard of Good Ranchers?
Good Ranchers is a good one?
Good Ranchers, yeah. They have a discount. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of these, but Good Ranchers is the one that we use. And
because we'll use
family.
Some ranchers nearby, or we'll use some kind of meat suppliers nearby that are local to Georgia, but they sell out really fast. So we're like, okay, we got to go in, and we get the email, and it's almost like a rare sneaker drop. We're like, all right, we're ready, and click, all sold out. We're like, oh man.
Wow. That's impressive.
In Georgia, I feel like there's a lot of people in Georgia that want organic foods, and there's so many small farms out here, and they've been embracing online, and we're trying our best.
That's all you can do.
It's also a little more expensive to do. So that's kind of the caveat where you have to weigh it out.
There's our Make More Babies merch right there. So Every Life is a wholly owned subsidiary to Public Square.
Okay.
Yep. So that's where we started, and what's great with Public Square is that's going to be our model. It's going to be the beginning of us finding holes in the market and creating solutions. So Every Life is the first subsidiary.
But then can I push back on that just a little bit?
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean that another diaper company can't go on the marketplace? You're kind of blocking them out a little bit.
So they would not be able to align with the values that they have to uphold when they sign up to be a business. So it's completely free to join as a user or as a business. But for the business to come on, yes, they have to subscribe to our 7 basic principles, which is love country, support the Constitution. They are pro-life, pro-family, pro-freedom. And if you can't support those things, then we're not going to promote you on our app. It is a conservative marketplace of businesses that I like to just say pro-life, pro-family, pro-freedom. Those are kind of the 3 key things that they need to subscribe to be showcased on Public Square.
And I love that because I feel like anyone that's been around the channel for a long time knows that's kind of what we talk about all the time. For me, the 2 most important things are family is the most important thing. And number 2, the government should not tell us how to live our lives. That's kind of my 2 hills to die on.
Those are good hills.
Yeah. it's the 2 hills that get you in a lot of trouble, which is crazy.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Nope.
But for some reason, if you choose those 2 as your hills to die on, they make it difficult for you. And that kind of tells you a lot about where we are in society, is that the most basic things is I want to be in control of my life and I want to be in control of my family. For saying that out loud, you're almost targeted by our tech overlords.
That's right.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. We were talking about this earlier, which I am thankful we do have Elon Musk back on the Twitter space. X. I know. What do you think of that?
It takes me a while. I say
too.
Twitter and then I'll say X, and I've been trying to embrace the X, but
it's not going well for me so far.
I don't know. I get why he changed it, but I don't think he needed to change it.
I don't either. Twitter was so strong.
It's such a good word.
And even just, did you see that tweet?
Yeah.
I like the word tweet.
But now it's a post.
Did you see it? But everything's
everyone's
a post.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. Elon can get away with it.
Fine, Elon. I forgive you.
If you're listening.
I forgive you. I forgive you, Elon. But if you bring it back to Twitter, we're not going to be mad.
We
I don't think anyone's going to be upset.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, so this is Public Square. It's pretty fun.
So you mentioned before about there are diaper companies that are anti-life, which is just hearing that out loud. It's so crazy.
It is.
Because if you're a diaper company, if you're in the baby business, which is a huge business, huge industry, I know it. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter. There's a lot of money that you don't have to spend a lot. You can easily spend a lot.
You can.
Your crib could be $50 or it could be $5,000.
The baby industry is oversaturated with all kinds of baby supplies.
Yes.
That can be very tempting for parents. And you don't need it all, to your point.
And
but you do need diapers and wipes.
You do need diapers. You need wipes. There was a time where we wanted to use, because we didn't want to use the major big brands. And my wife said, well, I want something that's better for her because, again, took a long time. She feels like she's more important and she wants to give her the best of everything. And I get that.
That's beautiful.
Sure. It's very expensive.
She wants the best of the best for your little princess.
And part of me is like, no, like, take a little rag, put it around and like figure it out, because hard life, hard times, hard lessons, learn more. That's how I think.
Okay.
And my wife is, no, like we should give her everything, give her every opportunity. And if you give her as good of a life as possible, then in the future, she'll meet a man that'll provide and help with a better life and won't settle for less. That's kind of her idea.
So how do y'all find balance there? Because that is different mindsets.
Yes.
How have y'all come to a middle ground? Or maybe you haven't. I don't know.
Well, I think in our household, we run a very traditional household.
Okay.
So my responsibility is to make sure we have food on the table and make sure that I make decisions based on the greater outlook of our family. These are the things that if there was because it's really hard with 50-50 in life. At some point, one person has to give. So that's kind of my 51%. And for her 51% is how is our daughter raised? What are we going to do about her health? And kind of anything around there. So we've kind of decided these are our roles, more traditional roles, but we've decided this is okay for us. We enjoy that. And it works out fantastic for us. And the places where we'll discuss is if she's got to go to school, which she's got to go to school soon. And we've been looking at preschools already.
Yeah, how's that going? That's hard. Schooling is that we're not there yet, but we're close too.
We are on wait lists.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you doing private, public?
Yeah. So private school we want to start her at 2.
Okay.
And because I want her to socialize, I want her to get as far ahead as she can. And we were trying to get into a preschool that's tailored, a very Christian, conservative preschool that's very, very close to our house that all of our neighborhood goes to. So they released their wait list or their admissions, I think on December 10th or something for the following school year. And we tried to sign up on December 11th and it was gone.
Really?
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? I want to hear your perspective on the schooling situation.
I think if you're in a more liberal area where it's very competitive, they want whatever is considered the best.
Yep.
I get that. I think if you go into an area where I live, which is a very conservative area, people want to make sure that they get their kids in a school that teaches the values that they adhere to. So it's a very Christian nursery, and they do a lot of Bible study, and they'll pray in school, and that's what a lot of people in my neighborhood want. So that place just fast. Wow. So I think that's really what it is. It's hard to find places because there's a lot of chain type of nurseries that it's a little bit easier to get into, but the turnovers there are rather high, and you don't have a control in their curriculum. And for us, at least, we want her to at least be raised at the most conservative possible level, at least early on, so that we're instilling those basic core values in her. And then as she gets older, we'll decide, and if we go expand her worldview more, we want to be the ones that control that, not the school system.
Yep.
And that's really what it is. I mean, we may even homeschool one day. I don't know.
That's probably what we're going to do.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we still have a lot to figure out, but it goes back to wanting the control and wanting to make sure that we're instilling our core values and providing biblical truth and raising her up to be the woman that we believe she can be. And I don't want anyone else doing that. And we have to, as parents, they're our children. It's our responsibility to make sure that we're not sending them into an environment where we're jeopardizing that. And I hate to say it, but a lot of the schools today, you're throwing them into the fire.
Yeah.
And you just have to ask yourself, is that the best thing for your child? And every home is different. Every situation is different. So I understand that. But for us and our family, we want to make sure that she's getting the best too, and it's getting great education, but also they're not being indoctrinated because they are at such a young age now. It's unbelievable, the stories that you hear. And it's important to make sure that we're their shield in a lot of ways. It's a responsibility and an obligation that you have as a parent to make sure that you're setting them up for success. So what does that look like? I love that y'all are doing that. It's so important.
It's really important. It's not easy because the schools, there's not as many of them out there anymore. And I think because of scarcity, that's why the wait list gets so long. And if they accepted too many kids, then now you create a problem in itself. You can't really expand buildings, and they're limited by the real estate that they have. So we're trying, hopefully, I think we signed up they kind of let us sneak in, and they're going to let us go 2 days, but we can't get the full week. But all of our neighbors are very God first, family first, America first type of neighbors that we have. And they were raving about this place. You have to send them there.
Wow.
And we're like, fine, we'll go. And I'm like, there. And my wife was so mad at me. Because she's like, you missed it by 1 day. I was like, I thought you were looking into this. No, remember, we had our rules. You said you're going to do this, and this is what you're going to do. And this type of financial decision, you're going to make it. You told me you're going to do it. And I'm like, damn it. I did say that.
Oh, man. That's when you just kind of have to trust that God will work out all the details. He will.
But we try to get our daughter out in every possible situation as early as we can. So we take her out everywhere. I think we started taking her out when she was a month old. Yeah. Which is really early.
We did our first flight at 3 months. And now Lily Gabel's been on 50 plus flights.
Wow.
I take her everywhere with me.
We recently took our daughter to Korea.
How was that? How long is that? How long would that
16-hour flight.
Ooh, and how long? Wait, recently, so she's mobile, right? Walking? Is she walking?
Yeah, she was walking.
See, that's when it gets a little more challenging on planes because you can't let them go run around. And that's all they want to do.
Yeah, this was in November, December. So she was 14 months old.
Yep.
And
how did that go? I'm sure you have some good stories.
My wife went to Korea because she went first, and then I met her there because she went for a month. Her family lives there. So she went first, and I joined them later. So she had to take our daughter on the first plane ride, 16 hours to Korea. And I think the first few hours is okay because they're settling in. And we've done, I think, a really good job of socializing her. So she went around and said hi to all the people, and they love that.
Yeah.
And we packed goodie bags, actually, with us. So my wife brought a whole bag of like treats and candies and wrapped them all individually into like these little goodie bags and went around to every seat around us and said, hey,
that's amazing.
Our daughter is barely a year old. If she cries a little bit, we apologize. This is her first flight. We're going to see her grandparents for her first time. So can you please just understand? And once people see that and they see her and they get the little goodie bag, their hearts melt because most people are parents. And they were all understanding and amazing. And she packed these little gift cards and little extra goodie bags for the flight attendants.
That is a brilliant idea.
Yeah. And the flight attendants, because after about 12 hours, my wife's like, I'm done. This is too much. And she's like ripping her hair out, and baby doesn't want to sleep because she still wants to go play with all their neighbors because all the neighbors are smiling at her. So now she has to go say hi. So the flight attendants actually took her to the back, to the flight area crew and played with her for like 2 hours.
No way.
Yeah.
All because of those little goodie bags.
Just because you made just a little bit of gesture.
And yeah, it shows what an act of kindness does.
Yeah.
And we're missing that today.
Yeah.
What an opportunity.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was so cool. It was good for our daughter because she got to learn, and that was a huge learning experience for her. Even though she's too young to know that she learned.
Totally.
And for us to know that there are still good, kind people out there in the world.
There are.
You know, and that's every time you run into that type of situation, you kind of feel good about yourself. You know,
Absolutely.
like we're not as screwed as sometimes we think we are.
There's some hope.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of hope.
I like to stay hopeful.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, you have to look at the reality of the times that we're in, and there's a reason to be concerned. But I love that story. And I'm actually going to steal that and put it in my pocket, because with all the flights that we're on, that is a really good way to get your neighbors in the plane to warm up to you and your baby. Because it is hard, especially for those longer flights, to get them to stay seated and happy and entertained. It takes a village.
It does take a village. And for us, at least, we're trying to do this no technology.
We're trying to do that as well.
And if you think parenting is hard,
you become the TV show.
Try parenting without a screen.
Yeah.
Because even all of her peers, even at that age, have screens now.
I know.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is. And it's almost bizarre how they just look at the babies, look at these screens, and they're so locked in. It is concerning to watch that, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour can go by, and there's been no human interaction except for just staring at the screen. And you got to question, how is that going to impact? You might not think about it right now, but how is that going to impact your child and our future generations as they get older? It's a good question to be asking. Even for me, I didn't have the temptation. My parents didn't have the temptation of doing that because we didn't have all the screen. I remember my first phone was a flip phone, and then the BlackBerry. We didn't even have iPhones yet. And so it is amazing how much it's advanced. And obviously there's pros to technology, but you do have to consider what the impact is on our young kids, the most vulnerable. And they're our next leaders. They're our next generation. We have to make sure that we're setting them up well. I love that you guys have actually chosen to not go that route.
Sometimes I regret it.
Sure. But I'm sure down the road, though, it's really going to serve her well, because by doing that, she's having to create her own creativity, right? Like, she's having to be challenged to get to know the people around her and to be social. And
use your imagination and be creative.
And that's what they used to do. I mean, kids survived without screens not that long ago, and most turned out pretty well.
Because it's a slippery slope. I've seen so many friends of mine do it. They all say, we're not going to do screens. And then that one time you're at dinner and they're just out of control, because kids get out of control at dinner, especially at that young age. And they're throwing things, or they're dropping things, or they want to get up, or they're going to get out of the seat, whatever it is. Or they're crying, which is the worst part, especially if you're at a public restaurant.
I know.
And they're like, okay, just today, we want to eat dinner. It's kind of causing a scene. Let's just give her or him the screen today. And then next time, and then you do it again, and you do it again. All of a sudden, it's something that you do all the time.
That kind of goes for life in general, though.
Everything, right?
Yep. Everything. You have to be so careful. So careful.
So we're trying to get her to read more books and be around books. So my wife will, because a lot of public libraries will have story time. So she'll go from public library to public library, because every day of the week, a different library has a story time. So she goes to a library in this town for story time, and then goes to another library for story time, and another one for story time. Cool. And when she's at home and I'm playing with her and she's playing with her toys or playing with her blocks, even if she doesn't want to play with books, I'll follow her around and I'll read her book behind her.
so sweet.
Yeah.
You sound like a great dad.
I just want her to, like, if she sees that I'm constantly reading books,
Yep.
even if it's her books, even if it's circle, square, triangle, even if it's just that, eventually she'll be normalized. Instead of normalizing them technology, I'm normalizing them to books and reading and creativity. So I'm trying my best. Again, I think maybe if I had a child when I was maybe early on in our marriage, I probably wouldn't have done this. I probably would have been like most parents. Let's just survive this. Let's make it through. And, what most parents do, which I understand, it's not easy. I think I'm fortunate. I think the blessing in disguise for me is that we had baby much later and we had such a difficult journey to get there because now I feel like I have to do this. It's not even a question for us anymore. Not even a question for me.
But don't you think that would be a good thing for all parents to feel, no matter the age? Because I hear you, for sure. I mean, when you're younger, you just don't have that perspective or that maturity maybe. But man, if we could have a society that really feels the weight and responsibility of having a child and they just don't even question, to your point, that this is what I have to do to raise my daughter, then you think about, that gives me hope. Like that gives me a lot of hope for where we're going. If we have more parents that are so in tuned with their child, and you said something earlier, being an attentive parent, I think is the word that you used. And there is a difference. There's a difference between being a passive parent or an attentive, very forward parent that's engaged and they get to know their child and they're talking with them and they're reading books to them and they're making sure that they're learning and they're growing and they're developing in the ways that they need to. Gosh, you just think about how much better off the whole family's going to be. Everyone's going to be healthier when you're not passive, when you're actually engaged as much as we can be. And of course, we're not going to be perfect. We're not perfect. We have all kinds of moments, but it's actually more fun that way too. I've noticed that the more engaged that I am with Lily Gabel, the more that I just fall in love with her. And you miss out on those opportunities of her little cute things and her little words that she uses or a little smile when you're not paying attention. And I'm thankful, again, not perfect, but I've tried to be very intentional to be intentional with my daughter and talk to her and read books to her, just like you're saying, and watch her grow up. And man, I don't know about you, but I'm having a lot of fun being a mom. I really am. It is so rewarding. It is hard, but it is so rewarding. I'm ready for more. Okay. I'm like, we're doing this whole Make More Babies campaign.
We need to make more babies.
I'm like, okay, Michael, maybe this will be the year. We'll see, God willing. But we hope to have lots of kids. We want to have a lot. And I think, again, that's how we secure a strong nation. And that's actually how we're going to win.
I think so, too.
Because you think about what the other side is doing. They're telling them that they shouldn't have children. They should kill their child. They should have an abortion. They should be scared of the climate. And the best thing for the climate, we should save our climate. Like, that's what they're projecting on the other side. But what we're saying is that we need children. And that children are a gift, they're a blessing, and they're a reward. And the more that we conservative Christians keep having children, that puts us in a really healthy place, actually, as a society, because then we have fighters, we have warriors for God that we're raising up. And again, gives me hope. I hope more people will jump in the boat and start making more babies. We need more Christian, God-loving people making babies.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and I give Will, who's our producer, sound engineer, a lot of people know, he said, I'm not going to have children. And I always say, you have to have children. Because he's one of those
I like that answer.
Well, he's one of those where he says, life is weird, life is crazy, the society is getting weird. And I almost don't feel like I want to introduce them to that. I get that. But the people that actually have that thought in their mind and are being conscious about it, they're actually the people that should be having children. Mm-hmm.
That's
the people
exactly
that
right.
don't care about society and don't care about where the world is going, you could probably have less. Mm-hmm. The people who actually do care about where, like, the whole society as a whole is heading towards, people who actually consciously think about that on a regular basis, you should have more kids.
That's going to set him up to be a really good dad.
I think so too.
Is he married?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be
the
year.
Will, what's going on, man?
It's the year. We should get him on real quick. It's the year of making more babies. This is the year. It's going to happen. I can't wait to come back and hear a story
Yeah.
about how he comes to work one day. Twins, triplets.
I got triplets. And he's like, look at what you did to me.
Yeah.
This is your
Yeah,
fault.
it's on us. That's fine. I'll take ownership.
Yeah, for us, just life is so valuable
It
because we had one ectopic pregnancy and 2 miscarriages.
Wow.
And to tell me that, especially the ectopic pregnancy, we had no idea. It just happened. We had no idea she was pregnant. So that one, it didn't hit as hard other than the fact that she was in the emergency room. The 2 miscarriages, we thought we were going to have a child. And your heart like prepares for it. And the moment you find out that you're pregnant and you've been waiting a while, we're like so excited. And when it doesn't happen, it's really hard to convince me that we didn't lose a life. It's really hard because your heart tells you did, you know? And I think I don't understand the science, but I know how I felt, you know? And that's kind of it for me. I think that's why I'm so adamantly against abortion, because I know that feeling.
Yeah. And I think you did. You did. And I don't think that there's enough people talking about the fact that when women go through miscarriage, which is actually 1 in 4 women are now experiencing a miscarriage. That's a lot of women going through that grief and that loss. And again, going back to society, we don't acknowledge that enough, that was a child that was inside of the womb and the baby didn't make it. And that's really, really hard. But in order to heal, you have to also accept that truth, because until you accept that truth, it's hard to actually let yourself get better and to move forward. And you don't forget, but you do heal. And so, man, miscarriages, they're heartbreaking. Yeah. And it is a life that family lost. I just had a friend that went through 3 in a row. And it was the most heartbreaking thing for me as a friend to watch. And even just working at the Pregnancy Resource Center, I had dealt with many clients. Some, again, many were vulnerable in considering abortion, but a lot of them were happy parents and ended up having a miscarriage. And it's devastating and it's so hard. But again, it goes back to, we can't be quiet about those things. I think we also kind of live in a time too where it's like hide out and pretend like everything's perfect. But that's one of those moments where being vulnerable is so important to let people in. And I'm so thankful that my friend let me in, because I got to sit with her and talk with her about how hard and tragic that was. And now she's about to have her first, really her 4th baby, and she's due in like 5 days. So I'm just so happy for her. But the redemption, right? And then just looking at your story too, the redemption. Now you have a little girl and she's running around, and prayerfully you'll have more.
Hopefully, you know, hopefully. And I think it's when parents have a child, every time you have your first child and all your friends, all your family, they all ask, how's your wife? How's the mom? And they call you and say, how's your mom? Do you know what? They never ask, how's the dad?
Why do you think that is?
Because I understand you guys gave birth. I understand it's hard on the body. I understand there's emotional giving and take, and it's difficult. I understand that. However,
don't forget about me.
Us as the men, we need to, I don't want to say it this way, but I'm going to say it. Put up with 9 months of pregnancy, because it is an emotional roller coaster from our perspective.
Wrong.
Right?
Yeah, you're going down a slippery slope. I don't know if you're going to get back up.
And then after the baby is born, we try our best to help out. So I think when our daughter was born, I was sleeping maybe 2 hours because I'm getting up, feeding her when she's sleeping, or waking up and helping out with whatever it is, changing diapers. And then because, you know, my wife is resting and everything else, I'm trying to help with dinner. I'm trying to help with the cleaning. I'll help with the baby. I'm trying to go to work. My plate is full and my stress is up to here. And no one says, how are you doing? Everyone says, how's your wife doing? Can someone ask about me next time?
How are you doing?
Oh, thank you. So if we have a young dad watching or listening,
there you go.
How are you doing?
I like that. You know, I think it is best to start with mom, because mom goes through drastic changes. I mean, hormonally, physically, emotionally, your body goes through something extremely significant, especially for your first, that you've never gone through before. And no one can prepare you for that. And people say that all the time. No one can prepare you for a child. And that is true, because you really don't know what it's going to be like and how great it is, but also how afterwards you go through healing. Your body has to heal. Your mind has to heal. It does take time, and you're learning how to feed. You're learning how to adapt to this new life. But to your point, I will say I could not have gone through my 9 months of carrying my baby and birthing her and going through the steps afterward if I did not have my husband by my side. And I went through a natural birth, so I didn't use any medicine. And so it was intense.
Gangster.
Yeah, I just went all in. I was like, I'm just going to go for it. I really took the approach of like, okay, God designed my body to do this. I'm just going to let it run its course. And I did. And it was crazy. And I learned so much. Wow. But if my husband wasn't there every step of the way, I mean, I was holding on to him. I mean, seriously, he was an anchor for me. And then even after, changing diapers in the middle of the night and just helping me Google questions, in the middle of the night. Like, I have no idea what's happening right now. What should we do? You need a partner. And dads do so much. You can't have a healthy family if you don't have that father that's present and attentive. So dads do deserve a lot of praise. They do. They do a lot.
Mike, how you doing?
Yes, Michael probably loves this moment right now. He's like, he is an amazing
Celebrate
dad.
the dads too.
Celebrate.
That's all I'm
what?
saying.
Yeah, I know I have a day. You have Father's Day.
Yeah.
We're going to go big on Father's Day at Every Life. We're going to try to do something really cool for the dads. I'm still trying to brainstorm what we can do, but dads do a lot, and they're really important.
I think Father's Day, I thought about this last year. I spent the morning and the afternoon with my daughter and my wife, and we used to live across the street from the golf course. So in the afternoon, I went over to the golf course, and all the guys were there. A lot of guys are there, and they're like, finally, I get a day off, and I get to be at the golf course and drink beers, and bars packed on Father's Day. And I thought about it. The reason, and some of them were like, yeah, maybe the older ones were like, yeah, my kids don't really come visit me on Father's Day either, so we're here. It's a mixture of both. The younger ones are there celebrating being fathers and Father's Day, and the older ones are there because they're sad because no one visits them on Father's Day. And I thought about it, and I was like, the older guys don't have their kids visiting them on Father's Day because when they were younger, they were getting away from their children on Father's Day.
Wow.
If you spent Father's Day, instead of being your day, if you spent Father's Day with your children on that day, as you get older, they're going to know it's Father's Day. It means I need to spend time with Dad.
Wow.
Because when you're younger, you're like, I want to get away. I want my day.
That is so good.
When you're older, you're like, I wish my kids visited me on Father's Day.
I love that.
So if you're a young dad,
Be with
spend
your kids.
Father's Day with your kids.
Oh,
I
that
think
almost
so.
makes me want to cry.
It was really sad.
Man.
Because there was a handful of guys there, maybe in their 60s, 70s, and they're like, yeah, my kids are at the other side, or my kids are in another state and they don't come visit me. It's Father's Day, or they're doing their thing, or they're with their kids.
Wow.
I'm like, if you just spent Father's Day with them on Father's Day, you wouldn't run into this situation.
That's so beautiful. And that is so true. And it shows the strength of a dad and the need for their presence in the home. Because even if you do have a dad in the home, you can also be a passive parent, right?
Yeah.
That's not engaged and, like you said, out and about and not a part of the kid's life. And that's not the kind of parent that a child is going to thrive. They're not going to thrive in that sort of relationship. And so, gosh, it's crazy you say that, because growing up, I always had a dad that was anytime, to your point, I'm very blessed, anytime he could get, he wanted to spend it with me. Like, some of my best memories was doing father-daughter dances. You'll have to do those.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I want to do it.
Every year, the father-daughter dance was like our thing. And I would get all dressed up and do my hair and get the best dress. And then my dad would put his suit on. And I just looked up to him so much. Like, he was my best friend. And man, and then when I got married, and that handing off, right, of going from being underneath my dad's covering and him being my go-to man, to then now I have Michael, who is incredible. and phenomenal. And I get to go up under his covering, and now we become one. And that interesting dynamic and that shift. But now, years down the road, how close I'm still with my dad. Now, my husband's my best friend, but I still have those memories. I still have my dad that I go back to and talk to, and he's a friend to me. And so, but that's because he prioritized me growing up. And to your point, when you don't prioritize your kids, how can you expect later on for them to prioritize you?
Yeah. I mean, how do you expect them to come visit you when every chance you got, you ran away from them?
Yep.
That's it. And for the older guys, you know exactly what we're talking about. I've never met a man that's I'm so glad I didn't spend a lot of time with my kids. Nobody says that. Everyone thinks, I wish I would have done more.
That's right.
Nobody regrets spending time with their kids as you get older.
No one.
The only regret not spending the time. So I don't know. Family, I think is most important. I think that's why I really enjoy what you're doing. I think it's so cool. We talked about, I want to make sure we bring this up. We did talk about a possible promotion code for people listening through Every Life.
That's right.
And we talked about it, and you said, and all full disclosure, like, we'll give a promo code, you can get this discount, and as an affiliate, you can get a certain amount of commission for selling it. And I said, I don't want to. I would rather you donate it to one of the pro-life causes out there. Is that something that we can actually do?
That we can do that, and that's incredible. And there's such a need for diapers and wipes. So mattkim10 is your discount code. And every time that code is used, your users can, or your audience can get 10% off. And then you make 10% commission off of that. So anything that we make off of your unique code will actually send Buy for a Cause bundles. They go directly to a pregnancy resource center in urgent need of diapers and wipes so they can help a mom who's in need of diapers. And we'll take the funds raised and help fuel that program so we can help more moms and dads who, again, it can be a difference between life and death for somebody. So that's huge and amazing. And that's very generous of you. So thank you.
I like companies that have a mission. I like causes in general. And I said it earlier, leading up to kind of the event you had, anything that supports family and the expansion of family, I just want to support it because I think it's so important. It's the most important thing. And like you said earlier, that's probably what's going to save society.
It is. It is. Having children is saving the world. Elon Musk said it best. He really did.
And you mentioned a couple of these pregnancy centers. What are some names? Can we talk about a couple that maybe people can look up?
Sure. Just
in case we have someone that may be considering it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually worked at a pregnancy center it was literally called Pregnancy Resource Center in San Clemente. So you can search that. And we have Obria medical clinics. There's 3,000 pregnancy centers in the United States. So literally, if you just type in Pregnancy Help Center or Pregnancy Resource Center near me, you're going to find all kinds of pregnancy centers that populate in your area that you can go to. And that's where you're going to find help. That's where you're going to find free resources. They do not charge you for anything. And that's simply because they genuinely care about every girl that walks through the door.
I feel like they have a branding problem.
Yeah, and I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Because everyone knows Planned Parenthood, which is a very deceiving name, by the way, but everyone knows it exists.
And the reason for that is because Planned Parenthood does have good marketing, they have good branding, and they also have a ton of financial support. So they've become really a monopoly, and they're under one name. So when you think of women's health, what do you think of? Planned Parenthood, right? Yeah. Because they've just completely...
Again, very deceiving.
Yeah, completely deceiving. Because they are not for the woman at all. If they were, they
or
would,
health.
Or health. None of it. So, yeah, there's some pregnancy resource centers. But see, that's some of the problem within... Pregnancy resource centers are doing fantastic work, but they've been around for a really long time, and marketing and branding is not their strong suit.
That's not the best name.
It's not.
It's just not the best
name.
There's
a lot...
It doesn't hit like Planned Parenthood does, or Every Life does. Every Life Center would be a really good name, by the way. I'm just saying,
That's true. Every Life Center. Wow. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
But
that just hits so much better. And it's something that you remember. And
that's a really good thought.
You feel good about it,
I need to do another thing. So
yes.
This
may be it.
Thank you for the idea. I'm being a little sarcastic, but that's a really good, that's the problem though. They're not under one name. They don't, so if you search women's health, you're not just going to get one Every Life Center or Pregnancy Resource Center, they're all kind of siloed in their own areas. And the fact that there are 3,000-ish of them, and there's only 800 abortion facilities in the U.S. So we greatly outnumber them, but yet we're still seeing thousands of abortions take place every single day in America. Over 60 million lives have been lost to abortion. That's a lot. That's insane. And so we do have a lot of work to do. I'm hopeful, but we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it's just about marketing and branding.
It matters.
Because that side also owns the top of the Google search results.
I know.
So if you're a young potential mom and you start Googling, what can I do? They pop up immediately.
Oh, and they have it now where they'll just call you,
Really?
Chat with someone. I mean, you can get the abortion pill shipped right to your doorstep.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable, which is, again, speaking to healthcare, the fact that there are abortion facilities that are okay with sending the abortion pill to a woman without them coming in to ensure that there is a viable pregnancy, that they're, done an ultrasound, done a checkup, taken a pregnancy test. Like, you need to confirm if you're just looking at health alone, the fact that they're handing this out like candy and even changing the name to call them period pills. So that's what a lot of companies, branding, marketing, they're devaluing the abortion name in order to make it feel very casual for women. So it is a problem. And again, we have some work to do, but hey, they exist, they are out there, and we're doing the very best we can, at least in our network, to provide them with the essentials that they need for women.
Amazing. Definitely check out everylife.com. Support the mission, make more babies.
That's right.
Sarah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And it was an amazing time. And I look forward to your journey. I really hope this thing goes like huge.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you guys next week. Have a good day. Awesome.
That was fun.